What is up, internet? How are you doing? Welcome to my video show on the YouTubes. I'm sorry, that was way too exciting. I'm about to go to a funeral, and this is a video about that. It's probably an inappropriate intro for a funeral video. Let's just mosey on out here. Pay no mind to the socially inept 20-something driving car in front of you. Let us move on to the next part of this video, where hopefully I will be slightly more composed and respectable. So, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm not super enthusiastic about going to a funeral. It's a beautiful day out, and I would have to change into dress pants, and that's not really the big reason I'm not going. It's mostly because I feel super awkward about going to a memorial service for someone who I do not have any memories of. So, but if my parents need me to do it and it is important to them, it will be done. So I'm gonna text it out with them when I get home to see exactly, feel out exactly how important this is. I'm not entirely sure. It would be a good idea. You know what's really just strange? People dying. Like human beings that are, you know, they have memories, they've done stuff, they have stories to tell, they're kind, they are loving, wonderful people, ceasing to exist anymore, being in another place, or in no place at all, depending on what you believe. Just like no longer existing on Earth. So strange. And to think that like 90 billion people have done that thing where you die, you're born and then you live a life and then you die, and 50 billion of those people didn't even make it over age 20. Isn't that crazy? So if you're an adult who's literate, who lives in an English-speaking nation, you're one of like 0.00001% of the human population who's ever been in your circumstance. Isn't that wild? So especially sad when people like that disappear from the world. It's just so strange, dysphoric really. Just from like a technical perspective, it's a lot of information loss, and from a like personal perspective, I don't know how people rationalize it. Like, how do you integrate the fact that a person that you knew is gone forever? There's no way to deal with it. I don't think there's an effective way to deal with. What's even weirder than the fact that people die is that people don't talk about it much. Like, people just disappear from the face of the planet. Just gone. And then people are like sad about it for a few months, and then they act like that's how things go. That's just how life works. It's a circle of life. You know? You're born and then you die, and that's just, it's not seen as a problem we can engineer our way out of. It's not seen as like upsetting or should never happen. There are some people who are like, that's the natural way of things. That's just how life, like, no, that's the most terrible thing that can ever happen to a person. Dying? Why does anyone put up with that? It's so crazy that like 99% of our national resources are not being expended trying to avoid people dying. Like, can you believe that? People are so casual about it. Like, oh yeah, people die all the time. It happens. I don't understand. I don't understand anything about death or humans. We're all just very confusing creatures. Remember earlier in the video where I said that I would be a more composed and reasonable version of myself later on in the video? I was wrong. This was a very ranty sort of moment we had here. But that's what I think about death, and that's what funerals make me think about. It just makes me so pissed off that people are okay with people dying. I mean, obviously no one's okay with like a loved one dying, but like the fact that people aren't like people get outraged about things like the Starbucks Christmas cup, but they don't get outraged about things like 100,000 people dying in car crashes in a year. Like, why aren't you very upset about people dying in car crashes instead of being, you know, super miffed and talking to everyone you know about the Starbucks cup? I love that during the holiday season, this is much more petty, but I love that people get so upset about the Starbucks cup, and that is the example of like being upset in a petty way. It's just great. I think that that's a good situation. It's funny is what I mean. That said, it is upsetting that people get worked up about that, and they don't get worked up about people dying. It's just like a thing that happens, and everyone accepts it like a thing that has to happen. Okay, I'm gonna stop ranting and actually park and then text. So stay tuned for the verdict. The verdict is that I did not go to any funerals. As many of you know, Monday is call day. The calls are going well. This spot is especially bright today. Oh, and that's the news. That's all the news I have for you now. All the news that's fit to print. Tune in next time for more news from Steve the News.